Hey everybody, it's Dustin with the Webex Devices team. And today we're going to do a really exciting overview of, well, we're going to talk about room analytics basically. And we've done some videos on this before. We've talked about it. You guys know about some of the actual features and capabilities of the devices, including the newer devices. We did a video recently on the Room Navigator and really excited about some of the additional analytics and capabilities it's going to bring. And obviously we've talked about the Desk Pro and the sensors that we have there. And of course the existing Room series and Board series and everything they can do. So when we talk about this from a higher level, you know, we have this data. We can do things like people presence. We can determine who's in there, how many people are in there. And now we're able to do things like noise levels, ambient noise, temperature, humidity, and eventually things like air quality. These are just some of the things that we can do with the devices built into the sensors we have available with the equipment that you can actually have just built into the device itself. So we have all this data, but what do we do with it? So a lot of people are doing some great things. We've shown some of the macros, like the return to work macro, showing that if you know, the room capacity exceeds what the administrator or the workplace admin sets as the maximum limits, it can alert the people. We can even have it send a message to Microsoft Teams. Just very different, you know, different ways that you can leverage this data using the macro engine. But what we're doing now is I'm really excited to kind of show you some things, kind of a sneak peek. Some of this is subject to change, meaning that the layouts and everything that what we're going to do here will probably be tweaked around a little bit. But the idea behind this and what I want to show you is still going to be there. So what we're doing is we're taking this information and we're using Control Hub, which is going, you know, quickly becoming your de facto standard in regards to managing all of your cloud and edge devices. We're having all this data being brought into Control Hub, and you're going to be able to start looking at it both real time and kind of historically to see what that room is doing or that workspace is doing. So a lot of potential here in this, and I'm just excited today to kind of run through this and show you some early previews of what we're doing and working live as well. So let's go ahead and I'm going to switch my view here to bring up my desktop. So I've got my the trusty Webex Edge board here that I've got behind me, and I use in my demos. And the reason I want to show you this one is a couple reasons. Is number one, you're going to see that on my workspace here, and all I did was I went to Workspaces inside of Control Hub and I found my device. But I've got this real-time utilization metrics, which has been here for a while. It's going to show you if a device is occupied, if the participants, how many occupants are in there, whether it's in a usage status. Right now it's not being used. You've got the ability to you know, change this information, whether it's going to do you know, occupied or the people count outside of a call. Actually, let me show you that real quick. I'm going to go here to the device and show you some of these advanced configuration settings. So under the room analytics we have here, you have the ability to do the people presence detector. By default, this would be off, so you would have to turn this on. And under room analytics, you've got people count out of call. This also is by default off. You would need to turn this on. So that way you can start getting some of this data from the device to be able to see, you know, outside of a call, whether these things are actually happening or not for the utilization metrics. We've also got things like the real-time environmental metrics. Now, most devices will be able to do the sound levels and the ambient noise. If you hover over each of these values, it's going to give you a little breakdown of exactly what this device or this metric is actually doing, as well as some ranges as what is kind of accepted as, you know, the areas that you want to be in. And then right here specifically, this is telling you about the device configuration, room analytics, ambient noise estimation mode. This is telling you where you can actually turn this on or not. Same thing here. This is basically showing you the current sound level. This information is going to be updated about every 10 seconds, so it's going to be relatively real time for you, and it'll continue to update. You'll also notice that we've also got the temperature here. So this is where you're actually going to get from live data from the temperature sensor on the device, as well as, in this case, relative humidity. Now, one thing you may note is that the Webex board actually does not have some of these sensors built into it, and we're going to show you why and how we're getting that data in just a second. But a couple things that I want to show you here is, aside from the fact that we have the meeting room here, we can define the capacity. Things like this is pretty important because when we start looking at historical room utilization, we want to know, what we set as the max capacity for that room. And in this particular instance, we have this set to 4. And the reason that's going to matter is because when I go through here and I show you the real-time utilization and then the historical utilization, we'll be able to give you percentages as to the average usage for this room based off the max capacity that you have set. So example would be if on average, let's say I have a room with a capacity of 20 people, but on average I'm only getting 2 people throughout the day, it's going to let me know that my average utilization is going to be very low, around 10%. And so that could be very valuable information for me if I'm making upgrades or changes to a room. Maybe I realize that, okay, this room, at least in this location, or because of return to work or whatever, we're not really utilizing all the capabilities and capacity of it here. So it may make me want to make decisions on maybe splitting that up into 2 separate rooms, or maybe look at moving that room to another part of the building where the larger rooms have a high utilization. So a lot of really cool things there that you can use with this data. And the important part here is that we want to show you how we are able to give this data to you now and be able to download that data to be able to consume and see how it can be useful for you. So let's go ahead and go a little bit further here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the view details to kind of show you some of the new pages we have kind of in beta here. So this is pretty cool because this is going to give you your utilization metrics, and this is going to tell you, the different meeting room types. It's going to tell you the average occupancy. Every one of these that we have are going to have a little info dialog here to kind of bring you a little bit more information around what that sensor is actually doing. And this is going to give you some insights in regards to the occupancy. It's like I'm increasing here. This is averaging about 1.5. That's probably because my wife comes in the office sometimes when I'm working from home here. So it's really just 2 of us. Max occupancy 2. We're working from home. So there's just 2 of us in the house. So that's all we ever really have for all of our meeting types. And then this is kind of telling us time in use. So this is for ones that are part of my org, and I'm doing for demos and things. And right now I've only had mine in the last 24 hours in use for about 4 minutes. This is telling me about the data sources that we're getting from this board. Occupancy sensor is here. It's coming from the board 85S, and then the presence sensor is on, and it's also from the board 85S behind me here. So this is where you're going to also be able to get some data from the hours of the day, the workspace in use, and the amount of time. You can also drop down and go past, in historical. So here over the past 7 days, you notice that your insights will actually change as well. But I'm going to go back to the past 24 hours here. The other cool thing is I'm going to take a step back, and you'll notice that we have this environmental metrics, and this is currently in beta. Now this is going to take me to a similar page, but if I go to view details, it takes me back here, but now we're on this tab up here, the environmental metrics. And we've got a couple different options here. We've got the sound, temperature, relative humidity. Same thing, we're going to get some insights right here based off of what we're finding. It's telling us where our data sources are. So right now this is coming from the board 85S. And if you look down here, you're going to see some over the course of the past 24 hours during the time of the day, the average ambient noise. So it kind of goes up. It's a little louder when I'm here sometimes versus not. Sometimes it's quieter. And then the average sound level that we're actually receiving, and you can see here where we've been inside and actually have some people talking and making noise, the sound level's going up. When we look at temperature, very similar. Now, one thing I want to note here is that we don't have a temperature sensor in the Webex boards. But you'll notice here that the data sources, it's telling me that's coming from a Webex Room Navigator. So now if I take one of these Webex Room Navigators and add it to an existing room series system or a board, for example, I now can start gathering that data because those sensors are in the Navigator. So really great option for us there. One other thing I want to show you here is that this right here is telling you from a temperature that currently it's the Webex Desk Pro has an embedded temperature sensor, and then for other devices connect the Webex Room Navigator. This is really cool because if you click down here, we'll go view supported devices. This will give you a nice little chart showing you the series of boards and devices and what all they support innately, and then what all will be supported if you add a Webex Room Navigator. So it's telling you about occupancy, telling you about presence. The desk series does all of these things by itself, innate. But for a room series or board series, you can get the temperature and relative humidity by adding a Room Navigator to it. And if I hit next here, it's basically just giving you a little bit of information around upgrading your workspace and telling you about the Room Navigator. So you can click that link and learn more there. But again, showing you this here, it's kind of showing the min-max temperature and the average temperature showing you over this time. And then the same thing here with the relative humidity. So it's going to kind of give you a chart here. This data is downloadable in a CSV format, so you can take this data, incorporate it to some other program or whatever type of charting system that you currently have. And of course, again, all of these info buttons here kind of telling you more about what we're actually the data that we're gathering, as well as some of the accuracy. Like, for example, the humidity sensor is accurate between plus or minus 10%. So anyways, this is a kind of a high-level overview. I really wanted to kind of show this to you and kind of let you know what we're really excited about, what we're working on. These things will be, some of them are in beta now. Some more of this stuff will be in EFT very soon. And I think that this data, this real-time utilization and environmental data, and then this historical data is going to be very useful for a lot of reasons. And really excited. Also want to know, from you guys, what are your thoughts on this? What are some things that you would like to see? So definitely comment below. Let us know. And I hope that this video is very helpful, that you guys are as excited as I am. And let us know of some other things you'd like to see or know more about. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.